Welcome to Jerseys and Jail Cells, where we explore the stories behind the game, the victories, the challenges, and the decisions that shape careers. I'm Corey Raftery, here to guide you through the world of athletes, teams, and the choices that define them. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Jerseys and Jail Cells here on the YouTube channel. I'm your host, Corey Raftery, and today we will be talking about Aaron Hernandez and Stefon Diggs. Now, some reports recently have been stating that Stefon Diggs was accused of strangling his former personal chef, and the personal chef stated that it was a lot to do over unpaid wages for a whole month. Now, something that strikes my attention is the money part. Now, other reports are saying from the chef are stating that it's not got anything to do with the money part of it. She just wants to get paid for the time that she put in for that month that she wasn't paid. And she also wanted to address the fact that she was assaulted, allegedly. And Stefon Diggs keeps denying it and is currently out on bail, and was released from the New England Patriots. And some might say it might be have to do with the fact that he's got reports of him strangling somebody, and the New England Patriots don't want that on them. They also don't want to deal with his contract, with it being a $20 million contract. So that is ultimately why I think that they released him. But there is a lot of question marks behind this when you look at Stefon Diggs' history, there is no history of him doing anything. And it's it doesn't make sense. He has no history of strangling or assaulting somebody, and it begs the question, why did he do that? If he is if the accusations are true, did he actually do it, and why did he do it? Well, I think it's got a lot to do with finances. And I'm wondering if he didn't pay his personal chef because he couldn't afford it. And maybe he was in a financial struggle, because he's not managing his finances properly with the amount of money that he gets paid every year. It's crazy. For someone like me, for example, if I was getting paid $1 million a year or more, a million or more, 20 million a year, whatever the case may be, to play a sport, you best believe I would be making sure that I have money put aside for my future when I ultimately retire, and for any other expenses that I want for my family, for me personally, whatever the case may be, so I don't struggle and have things like this happen or pop up. And Stefon Diggs, I clearly did not do that and did not think about what he was paying for in his career. And I'm wondering if the money is what was the problem, and that's why he ultimately couldn't pay his chef. But again, there is two sides to the story. Who knows what exactly happened, but we have to wait until they look into the accusations in the court systems. But let's talk a little bit about Aaron Hernandez. Now, the reason why I want to talk about Aaron Hernandez is because it kind of ties into this case of Stefon Diggs, in the aspect of it's not just an assault that he did, it was also the unaliving of a man back in 2013. And one of the issues with this is that Aaron Hernandez didn't show any signs of remorse when he initially was being accused and arrested ultimately, over the unaliving of a man back in 2013. And it begs the question, why do players do this, and what is their motive behind it? Well, I definitely think when people are in a desperate situation or a desperate time that they overreact to stuff going on around them. And with Aaron Hernandez, he was apparently doing unaliving people in 2012, but was ultimately acquitted of a double homicide. And it's the question as to what makes these players do these things and what's the motive behind it. Well, I think for Aaron Hernandez, it was a fame thing. It was a it was a I needed to take care of this person because maybe he had a bad history. It could be his upbringing that he had that caused him to ultimately unalive somebody and ultimately put himself into jail. And the sad part of this story is that ultimately, before he was acquitted of the double homicide in 2017, he was acquitted of the double homicide in 2012. And before that, he could even get acquitted of those charges, Aaron Hernandez ultimately unalived himself in prison. And it didn't give him the opportunity to appeal what was going, and what the charges were against him. And when you look at videos that were done by CBS Boston, they looked into the phone calls that he did out to his family, and it's kind of sad because you could hear the regret after being in prison from Aaron Hernandez. And it also begs the question, did he initially regret it before he went to jail? And that could be the case, but who knows? Because now we have to look at every aspect of this, because there is countless players in the NFL that do unalive people and are accused and arrested for unaliving people and assaulting people. And why does this cause players to do this? I also think it's got a lot to do with head injuries in the NFL and the fact that players get CTE, which is a concussion that causes them to have mood swings, causes them to have personality disorders. And so when this happens and you've been playing for so long, your whole life, and you're constantly getting battered and battered and battered in the head, you there's always complications with that. And thankfully in the NFL, they're starting to implement head guards that are in the hope helping to reduce head injuries in the NFL. And it has seemed to slightly work for players, and we've seen less and less head injuries now over the course of these last few seasons, thankfully. But there's still a lot of work with finding safety issues in the NFL and any sport for that matter, because no matter what, there's always going to be some kind of issue that keeps pushing back sports, regardless of what they are. And it's always going to push back players back to square one from where they were being successful to ultimately landing themselves in prison. And it's a sad truth to professional sports. There's too many people who get put in jail for many different things, but at the end of the day, it is their decisions that they make to put them where they are. And for that, we will be taking a look at Ray Rice and what he did that caused a policy change in the NFL. But I'm your host, Corey Raftery, and don't forget to tune in every Sunday at 5 to listen in on the latest episode of Jerseys and Jail Cells here on the YouTube channel, Raftery Productions. Have a good one, and take care.